Hey everyone, we're talking about assertiveness today. And listen, this is something I've spent a lot of time researching and even more time stumbling through in my own life. One of the things we'll talk about is how important it is to really understand your own interaction style before you try to change anything. We all come to the table with different baggage and different experiences that have shaped how we communicate, and that's okay, but it's about recognizing those patterns and figuring out where we might be holding ourselves back. Remember, being assertive doesn't mean being aggressive. It's about finding that sweet spot where you can honor your own needs and boundaries while still respecting the people around you. Before we dive in, let's talk about what it means to be assertive. It's not about bulldozing your way through conversations or being demanding. It's about having the courage to speak your truth, to express your needs and feelings openly and honestly, and to do so while respecting the needs and feelings of others. So, where do you fall on the spectrum? Are you naturally assertive, stating your needs directly? Or do you tend to be more passive, putting the needs of others before your own, even when it leaves you feeling depleted? Maybe you recognize some aggression in yourself, where you communicate in a way that might feel disrespectful or even hurtful to others. There's no judgment here, just honest reflection. Taking the time to understand your current interaction style is so important because it gives you a starting point. It allows you to see where your strengths lie and where you might have some room to grow. We're all a work in progress, right? Let's talk about fear, because let's be real, fear is often the biggest thing holding us back from being assertive. When we shy away from speaking up or setting boundaries, it's often because we're afraid of something. Maybe we're afraid of conflict, afraid of being judged or rejected, afraid of disappointing someone we care about, or maybe it's even deeper than that. Maybe we're afraid of our own power, afraid of what might happen if we actually start advocating for ourselves. But here's the thing about fear. It thrives in the darkness. When we shine a light on our fears, when we name them and acknowledge them, they start to lose their grip on us. So I want you to ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? What's the worst that could happen if I start showing up more authentically and speaking my truth? Now that we've named some of those fears, let's take a step back and examine them, because often our fears are rooted in stories we tell ourselves, stories that may or may not be true. So let's look at the evidence. What evidence do you have to support the fear that's holding you back? For example, let's say you're afraid to ask for a raise because you think your boss will say no. What evidence do you have to support that belief? Have they explicitly said they wouldn't give you a raise, or are you just anticipating their response based on your own insecurities? Often when we dig a little deeper, we realize that our fears are more like phantoms, these shadowy figures that seem very real in our minds, but don't actually hold much weight when we expose them to the light. One of the biggest hurdles to assertiveness is this belief that we're somehow responsible for other people's feelings. We worry that if we say no, if we set a boundary, if we speak our truth, it's going to hurt someone's feelings and we'll be the bad guy. But here's the thing, you are not responsible for other people's feelings. You are responsible for your own. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't be mindful of how our words and actions impact others. Of course, we should strive to communicate with kindness and empathy, but it does mean releasing the need to control how other people feel. Their feelings are their responsibility, just like your feelings are your responsibility. When we let go of that burden, it frees us up to show up more authentically and set healthy boundaries in our relationships. Guilt can be a powerful weapon. It can keep us stuck in patterns that no longer serve us. And when it comes to assertiveness, guilt often shows up as that nagging voice that says, "Who are you to ask for what you want?" Or, "You should just be grateful for what you have." But here's the thing. You are worthy of asking for what you want and need. It's okay to have needs. It's okay to want things. And it's okay to ask for them. Releasing guilt is a process. It takes time and practice. But every time you catch yourself feeling guilty for prioritizing your needs, challenge that guilt. Ask yourself if it's serving you or if it's just keeping you stuck. Finally, I want you to reflect on how being passive has impacted your life. How does it make you feel? Do you feel resentful, overwhelmed, taken advantage of? These feelings, as uncomfortable as they may be, are important signals. They're your body's way of telling you that something isn't right. Use these feelings as motivation to start showing up differently. Remember, you deserve to have a voice, you deserve to be heard, and you deserve to live a life that feels authentic and aligned with who you truly are. Becoming more assertive is a journey, not a destination. It's about taking small steps every day and being patient with yourself along the way. It's about learning to set boundaries, to speak your truth, and to honor your own needs. And remember, your needs and feelings are just as important as anyone else's.